Hey guys, Texas De La Rosa. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here answering another question today. This one is going to be about permanent makeup, so it will be involved in my group on Cosmetic Tattoo Professionals on Facebook. But if you are a new subscriber, thank you so much. If you are just now joining my YouTube channel, I answer questions each week about life in general. I'm a man of many hats, so I have many jobs and many professions and many things that I can answer and talk about with life. So I'm answering questions today. This question here was a long one, so I wanted to dedicate this whole video to this one question because I thought it was really, really great. It was actually in a permanent makeup group. And it involved a client not being happy with their situation. And so I'm going to talk about that because I think that a lot of us, and this is again, even if you're not in cosmetic tattooing, whether it's just a service in general, we've all had people that we've done a service on if we're in that service industry where they've not been happy. And so I think that it's important to talk about this kind of stuff because again, these are just life lessons we have to learn sometimes. Not everybody's going to love what we do. Not everyone's going to love us and love what we do and who we are and our attitude and how we talk and our music, all the things, man. People have to people have to kind of weed out some of the clientele that you want to have and find and to get in your world sometimes. And sometimes you have to deal with people that you don't want to deal with in the service industry. And we get it. And I understand all that stuff. But guys, there's certain ways to deal with things and there's certain ways you don't. And I always like to give life advice because I have been in the industry for the beauty industry for a long, long time, 20 years. And then I've been doing other things for, close to a decade of my life or longer. And so I feel like I kind of know what I'm doing sometimes. Sometimes I don't, though. So we all have those moments. But I just wanted to go into this question today. And hopefully this helps you guys if any of you are going through things like this. Because, again, this has happened to me. And I'll talk about my experience. But I'm going to go ahead and read the question to you now because it's a good one. So, okay. So I had... oh, there we go. All right, cool. All right. Okay, cool. So this person says, should I check in on a difficult client who hated her brows? We removed them immediately after the service. I'd like to know if I should reach out. I wanted to show that I care, but the sad part of me that wants to pretend this didn't even happen. I guess she's saying there is a sad part of her that didn't want to even admit this happened. So she's going to go into what happened. So I had this client a couple of weeks ago who hated her brows at the end of the service and refused to pay. She was extremely picky and controlling, failed to follow pre-care instructions, and refused to take any responsibility for that and blamed it on me. During her service, she admitted to taking Advil because she had started her period. She got up at least 5 times to use the bathroom during the appointment, and each time would come back stating something was that she didn't care for about the brows, and they weren't even done yet. So in the end, when she wasn't happy with them, said they were uneven, which was truthfully, they were slightly off, but nothing that a touch-up couldn't fix. I told her that we could either let them heal and make an adjustment at the touch-up, or I could remove them immediately. She initially asked if she could come back to remove them later, to which I told her, no, it's best to remove them immediately for best outcome, especially since she was refusing to pay. So we proceeded with the removal. We both cried. She told me that she thinks I'm a good artist and maybe that she was just a difficult case and didn't let this get into my head. I really think she was just a difficult client who wouldn't be happy no matter what I did. I've had difficult cases before and everyone has been happy with my work. I had never removed my own work before and this really did hurt having to do it for the first time in almost 4 years of being an artist. It's been about 2 weeks. Should I check in? What should I say? Ooh, that is a lot to unravel, guys. Let me see here. Okay, first off, let me go into something that I think is a really, really big thing here for me. I feel like you lost control of your client here in this situation. And the reason I think that there was a control lost was because, number one, I don't let people, I wouldn't let her get up 5 times to go to the bathroom and all that stuff. That's kind of crazy. I'd be like, hey, if you can't, do we have a medical situation here? Because, that's crazy. 5 times? Were you exaggerating? Was it really 5 times? Because I get going to the bathroom a couple of times, but I always tell all my clients, hey, have you gone to the restroom yet? Do you want to go? Because we're going to get started and you're going to be laying down for a while. And, that happens. Is there a medical thing? I don't know. That's a little weird. So I don't know. I think control is the situation here. You allowed that person to it seems like they maybe, I feel like, here's the thing. There is obviously there's a lot to be said about a tattoo going on your face, and I think that clients deserve to ask questions and see what's going on, and have that sort of thing. But if they don't trust you, then and if they're constantly telling you that you're not doing something right, then maybe you shouldn't have done it in the first place. Maybe you should have stopped, that sort of thing. How was the mapping? You didn't talk about that. So did you map out everything, and was she good with that? Was she not okay with the mapping? Because that's a super important thing too, is if they see what you're kind of putting on their face, then they know what's going on. So I don't know. I feel like there was a control thing here. Maybe some steps of service that weren't provided prior. Did you do a consultation? That's a huge one, guys. If you're not doing consultations with your clients, that can right there save you. If you do a consultation and you find out this person maybe isn't the person for you and you're not the person for them, this could have maybe alleviated this whole situation from happening. Because what if you found out, oh, okay, maybe this person's a little too quote unquote controlling or difficult, and now I don't want to take them as a client. Maybe it's going to upset them a little bit because you turned them away, but it's not going to upset them as much as now you're having to remove your own work that you just did. I have a huge problem with the fact that she didn't want to pay you, though. Because here's the thing. It wasn't a finished service. We all know that permanent makeup is a 2-step service, right? Sometimes a 3. Sometimes we have those clients that even need a 3rd session, to make things better, and things just happen. Skin is unpredictable. We are not ever guaranteeing that something's going to look exactly like it looks on all the quote unquote real pictures you see on the internet. Because let's be real, guys, we know all that stuff is filters and just gives everybody unrealistic expectations with permanent makeup. Because man, if I had a nickel for every picture that I see on Instagram or Facebook that looks like a person has 0 pores, or they look like a mannequin, then hey, I'd be a rich person, because I see it every single day. I don't edit all my photos. I just edit. I'll take out a blemish here and there if a client asks, but if they don't, then I don't. I did have a client just recently ask me to do it because she had a lot of redness in her face, and so I did just do a simple Facetune situation where I didn't change anything else, but that was it. But yeah, we all know that happens. So I mean, did you do a consult? Did you not do one? I would love to know that, because if you didn't do a consult, then again, this could have really saved you. If you are doing consults, did you feel like this person was cool then, and now all of a sudden they changed? Like, where did we go wrong there? There's some red flags on both situations. And again, sometimes people are just nervous. When they get a tattoo on their face, it's a big deal. I mean, I would be nervous if someone was doing my face, and and I know what's happening. Because, you just don't know what's going to happen sometimes. And, that could be just the thing. But I think that there was a control situation. You have to control your room. You have to control your room, and you have to set down like rules and say, hey, look, this is what's going to happen. Like, for instance, I don't allow people to have their phones on them. I just find it to be really rude. I've talked about this in other videos, how I feel like it's, if you're on my time and you're here, then you need to respect my time, and that means if you have other things going on in your life, whether it's your work, your family, whatever, if you can't be away from your phone for an hour and a half or 2 hours of your time, then you don't need to book that time with me. That's totally fine. I get it. You just don't come in, so make arrangements. If you're getting your brows tattooed while your nanny has to pick up your kids or your husband or whoever, and they don't know what they're doing, well, then you need to make arrangements prior to coming and sitting in with me, because I don't need you getting up in between all the things I'm doing to make, phone calls and stuff. I think that's really, really rude. Because I wouldn't do that to a person. You know what I mean? I find it very, 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 just rude to do that to people. So especially when we're offering a service. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it says here she was unhappy. She didn't want to pay. I have a problem with not paying for it, though. I mean, you did get a service. It wasn't finished. So the pay thing bothers me, that she didn't want to pay you, because that is theft of services. When you look at it like that, that is, she got a service and she didn't pay for it. Now, again, she wasn't happy with it, I understand, but she also didn't give you a chance to fix it. And in the touch-up, you said they were maybe a little off. Maybe that's what she got upset about. But I have a problem with that. That happened to me one time when I was working at a wedding. This woman was getting married, and I think it was her daughter. It's been so long, I can't remember, but I think it was her daughter or her niece or somebody had contacted me and found me, I guess through my internet, or I don't know, maybe Facebook, I don't know. And I went to do their makeup. So I did, and I did a couple of people's makeup, and then there was an aunt that saw everyone and was like, oh my God, everyone's so gorgeous. I want to get my makeup done too. This was my problem. I should have immediately told her what I charged. I just didn't even think about it at that time because I was already there and it was happening, and the you had already paid and everything. And when I did the aunt's makeup, she was extremely like, oh my God, happy. She was like selfieing, had her daughters come in and look at my face, and she was so excited. And it was just, I couldn't have done wrong, right? She was just so excited about it. And then when I went to get payment, she was like, well, how much is this? And I was like, oh, it's 105. And she was like, 105? And I was like, yeah, 105. I was like, 90 for your makeup and 15 for false lashes, which you got. She immediately started ripping the makeup to shreds. She started saying how, well, I could have done this, I could have done this. And she was telling me like how I messed up on her brows and how her lashes were, too big, and that she would have wanted different, all the things. None of this she said prior, right? And so it just came down to price. She didn't want to pay it. She thought that she told me that she thought my makeup was like $20 or $30. And I was like, no, ma'am, I don't even know anyone who charges $20 or $30 like for anything that they're going to apply on your face. I was like, that's not how that goes. So anyways, I didn't move. I was like, so are we wiping your face off? Cause you just got a full face of makeup and you need to pay me. And so, I was ready. I was like, let me get the hose. Let me get the wash rag. We're going to clean this off your face. I'm going to rip those lashes right off your face. And I wound up just kind of sitting there, and I was like, all right. And so I texted the lady who I'd been speaking to, who I took the payment from, who paid for everything. And she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She's cheap and and this and that. And I'm so embarrassed, and I'll send you the money and whatever. And they did. And then I left. And of course, when I was leaving, it made everything so awkward, because when you have to pack up a makeup bag, it's not just one little thing. I didn't have like one foundation and a lipstick. It was like my entire life was was in this bathroom at this hotel, and I had to pack it all up and then leave, and it was super awkward. And she was just like, she didn't touch her face, she didn't wipe it off. So apparently it was good enough to have someone else pay for her, but she didn't want to pay for it. So so what I'm getting at is, did that person want free brows? I don't know. I don't think so, because maybe she got to remove it. Maybe she was just hoping they wouldn't go anywhere. We also know that emergency removal does not remove everything, right? It doesn't remove everything. It will remove a lot of it, but that's also not a guarantee. So even if you did emergency removal on your client, she's still going to have something. So she's still going to have to get it fixed regardless. So I wouldn't have done the emergency removal personally. I would have just said, hey, unless you're just going to cut her loose, I guess, because is this person now coming back to you? It's been 2 weeks. Obviously nothing's going to happen in 2 weeks, meaning that they're not even healed probably by then, because it takes time for the skin to heal and for things to happen, especially when you do emergency removal. What I would do is I would leave it be. I wouldn't reach out to this person, because it feels like it was a big trauma situation, because I feel like if y'all both cried and it just turned into this whole weird situation, I wouldn't reach out to her. I would wait to see if she reaches out to you and then go from there. Now, if this person decides to then get makeup done by you again, permanent makeup done by you again, then you need to charge her what you would have charged her in the beginning, and she needs to pay for that up front. Get your payments up front if you need to from now on out, because this stuff happens. I will say this, you mentioned Advil. Guys, it happens. Advil, it doesn't happen to everybody, but some people will take things and they may be bleeders, like ibuprofen, Advil, before tattoos, drinking alcohol, things like that. And sometimes it doesn't. So we can't blame the Advil on her, pre-care and how things didn't happen with you. Because I've tattooed quite a few people. I've actually tattooed people that have come in with a freaking Red Bull in their hand, and I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? Throw that away. You're not going to drink that. And they healed just fine. So it does happen, but it's not going to happen to every single person. So we can't. I think we're looking for a reason for this to not be your problem. Sometimes when we make these excuses, I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but that's sometimes what happens with us in the industry. I've done it. I've tried to make excuses for how I messed up on something, and then I just had to realize, no, Texas, you actually did that. So I think this could have all been hopefully fixed if you did a consultation. So if you haven't done one on a person, and if you don't do them in your practice, maybe you should learn to do that. Maybe that's something that you should do from now on, because I vet my clients, because you never know, especially right now, guys. We just had this happen. I was teaching a student, and a client came in. We actually had a model call for some brows for powder brow, and the models. Obviously, we don't tattoo people with my students that are previously, had permanent makeup done. So my business partner, she put out a flyer saying, hey, we need some bottle. Oh yeah, this lady came in. Oh no, answer all the questions. No tattoos, nothing, no previous PMU, and we get her down, and I'm like, and I'm talking to her about stuff, and she's like, oh yeah, well I had microblading like a year and a half ago, and I was like, okay, that's why your brows look a little pink. And so I was like, oh my God, this lady. And she was like, yeah, well, that's not permanent makeup. It's just microblading. Lady, that's a freaking tattoo. I don't care what anyone says. When you are opening up skin and you're putting pigment in your skin, it's a freaking tattoo. And I was like, oh my God, this is a thing. But it happened, and it's okay. It's fine. It actually was faded enough. But guys, if you're out there listening, microblading is a tattoo. I'm going to say it really close into the microphone. It's a tattoo. Okay? So it doesn't matter that grandma called it microblading only and grandma doesn't have any tattoos. Yes, she does. She has 2 of them, 1 and 2. Okay? There you go. So yeah, again, this is just a really hard one because I feel really bad for both of you at this point. I feel bad that the artist had to go through this because that had to be so traumatic, so traumatic. I will say this, I've had to remove my own work. Yes, I have. I actually just removed some of my own brows that I did like 2 years ago. This client came in who had previous microblading done before. It had shifted in color and the shape wasn't so great. So I decided to do powder over her, but the fact that the color was still left under, I told her that we were going to have to go a little bit darker, which was fine because her brow hairs were really dark. And I was like, so we'll just match those, call it a day, give you a better shape, whatever. So she was super happy, and she's a client of mine for makeup too, so I do her makeup quite often, so I've seen these brows healed and how things are going on in her world. And recently I've been doing a lot more videos on my laser removal for permanent makeup because I'm one of the only people that are in this surrounding area where I live that specialize in removal of permanent makeup with laser. And so she had seen some of my videos, and she was like, Texas, don't hate me, but I really want my brows lighter. And I just feel like these are too dark. And she's like, when I have makeup on, they're perfect. She's like, but they're almost too perfect when I don't have makeup on. She's like, because they look like too much. And so I said, yeah, come in and let me see it. Come in, let's take a look at you and let's see what's going on. Sar, she's a beautiful woman and I just want her to feel good. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. Let's laser them off and see what happens, and we'll kind of go from there. And I showed her some other colors that we could do potentially after the first couple of sessions if she needs them, and then we can just go from there. So it happened. Was I sad that I had to remove them? Yes, but I also want what's best for my client, and I want her to feel better too. And so we removed him with laser, and she was shook. She was like, oh my God, this, even what it removed to, she was like, this is perfect. If they stay this color, it's good. And I was like, all right, sweet. So I'm going to see her back in a few weeks and we'll see what happens. But guys, I've had to remove, that's not the first person I've had to remove my own work on. You're new in the industry, I think, because, did it say you're new? Wait a minute. No, 4 years. I'm sorry, 4 years. 4 years isn't like a veteran, but you've been around. I've been around a long time, and I had to deal with clients that I dealt with permanent makeup that was not what you have nowadays, meaning the actual makeup itself, like the pigments. Lord, if I could tell you some of the stuff that I have seen from my own work that came back years later because we didn't have all the good stuff that we have now because technology has changed, needles have changed, machines have changed, pigments have changed, all this stuff has changed. And let me tell you, I had I had a one brand that I used, and I don't like to talk too ugly about stuff because I think it was just, we were working with what we were working with. But man, I had a company that I used that literally everybody turned green. Every single person. And then it was like, well, oh my God, let's add this orange modifier to everybody now so that no one turns this weird color. And then it turned everyone orange. And so everybody had orange brows. And so I've been through that. And I know a lot of the veteran artists will laugh about this, and in their mind, they'll be like, oh God, I remember those days too. And then I had to deal with it. So, I've had to remove a lot of my own stuff. And because I am one of the only people that would be comfortable removing a lot of my stuff with laser, I've had to remove it, and so it sucks, but it's something that happens. And so I think that at least it's good enough that you do offer that in your practice so that you know that you can help that person if they are just unhappy. We're not going to make everybody happy, guys. We're never going to make every single client happy. And anyone that tells you that every single client that's walked out of their facility has been happy is lying, okay? I promise you. nobody out there on the planet is going to love everything that you do. And that's okay. It's all right. I've had clients that were doing stuff with me and then moved to another person, and that was fine. Happened with a laser client. She actually told one of the other technicians, she's like, I think Texas is over me. And I was, the feeling, they I always tell people can read how you feel, like the energy you give off. And that lady rubbed me wrong, and I just didn't really have a good vibe. And so I didn't really want to work with her. And she went up going to my other technician, and she still kept coming to the facility, but I never saw her again. And that was okay. It's okay. I'm not for everybody, and not everyone's for me. And that's okay. That's why there are other businesses, that you can go to, or other technicians in your facilities. So we're not going to make everyone happy. So don't think that every single person, and if you think that you've already tattooed everyone and everyone's loved your work, it's not true. It's not true. Just know that. Go to bed and think about that, because that is the truth. Every single person out there in the world has had some situation where they had someone come back and say they didn't like their work, they didn't like the shape, they didn't like the color, they didn't like how it healed, this, that, or the other, and it's going to happen to us all. The thing is, what we can do is we can listen to our client and then help them figure out the next steps. What can you do from this point? Which sounds like you did, because you did get the person removal. But, I would leave it be. You didn't book her back to do a follow-up, which I would have done. I would have been like, hey, I want to make sure that everything's cool in your world. So let me get you back in here and let's get you booked for a a consultation to kind of see how things are going. And if she didn't show up then that's kind of the ball's in her court, but you did your best. You did your due diligence to make sure that client was happy, because they weren't happy with your work. But since you didn't do that, I would just leave it be. So that's my whole take on this whole situation. That's a lot, right, guys? Have you had this happen to you? Have you ever had to remove your own work? If you have, please leave a comment below. I'd love to know about that, because that is a thing that we all have to do sometimes, or we have to refer that person to someone to get it removed if we don't offer removal in our area. That sort of thing happens all the time. So it's also really important, guys, to know people that do removals in your area. If you are not someone that is qualified, or if you're not someone who can do them. I know legally we cannot do removals in Texas unless you are working under a doctor. So I can, because I work in a med clinic, so we are good to go. But a lot of people can't do that. So, if you don't know anyone, or if you yourself don't do it, then you need to find someone, because again, you can also help people. Again, a lot of times people will come into our facilities that have stuff that needs removal before we can work on them again. And so again, it's just really nice to know, make a relationship with that company and find out, who they are and get to know them. And that way you can maybe work on a referral system, be like, hey, y'all do the removals and then I do the brows, or vice versa, and that sort of thing. So it can make it out. But I will say this: you're going to feel sick. You're going to feel horrible. You're going to feel bad. All those things happen, man. I've gone to bed sick because I've messed up stuff. I talk about mess ups all the time. And because I think that, people that don't talk about their mess ups, that's a little suspicious, right? Because I think we've all made mistakes, and man, I have made many. And I've gotten those times where I just go to bed and I just feel, oh God, I'm so sick to my stomach. But it'll be okay. It'll be all right. Nothing is unfixable. I promise you, nothing is unfixable. It may take time. It may take money. It may take some pain. It may take some blood. Because that's how it works. Removals are not easy, they're not cheap, and they're not pretty to heal with. Okay, so just know that. But it can be fixed. I have fixed some of the worst brows that I've seen. I've got 2 cases that have taken me about 2 years now, and we're almost to where we can get them down to where we're ready to tattoo again. And I've got a couple of gals that are still on the road, and they're still on that journey with me, and it's going to be a while. So just know that too. If you're out there looking for removals too, if you're watching this, it's expensive. It's expensive and it's time consuming, and it's no fun. Nobody wants to come and see me for removals, but again, it does make them get better. So all right, guys, I'm going to let you go. We're looking at about 25 minutes here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this answer. If you are not in the permanent makeup world and you just wanted to listen to this, did you find it fascinating? Was it interesting? Or are you not in this permanent makeup world, and maybe this is happened to you in a salon? Maybe you did someone's bridal hair and they hated it. Maybe you did someone's bridal makeup. I remember, I'll throw a quick one out there. I remember working for a salon when I first started doing makeup. Oh my God, I went in to this salon. And this woman asked for she asked for some makeup for, I think it was like for some Christmas party, and she didn't give me a lot of detail of what she wanted and this and that, and had just bought this new palette from Kat Von D, and it had like this silver and this blue. I think it was called the Beethoven palette, and I wanted to use it, and it was so funny. I was just in that salon, and I didn't know what was going on, and so I thought I did this great work on her, and she did not like the lashes. She said they were too big. She said they were too long. She said her eyeshadow. I did this kind of like silvery color because she told me the dress she was wearing, and she didn't really give me direction. And we didn't have a mirror facing her like in that salon I worked at. So I just did her makeup, and she was like, "Whoa, that is just so much makeup." And then she didn't like it, and I remember like I had to wipe it off, and I felt so bad. And then she didn't even want her makeup done at that point because she was running late, and so I couldn't fix it, and it was just like this whole thing. So guys, it happens to everybody, even professionals that have been in the industry for a long time, because I wasn't new then, it just happened, but I was new to that salon. But it sucks. It sucks to make someone unhappy, and especially if you're doing something for them and you're just trying to do your best, and sometimes your best is not what they want. So know that. I talk about this stuff because I'm a real person, and I know that these things happen. So, all right. Well, I hope everything's going better in your world now. Take a deep breath, learn from your mistake. Definitely from now on, get consultations. Definitely from now on, don't allow people to have that kind of control in your room. Don't let them nitpick everything you're doing in between the service, because there's a lot of times when we're doing stuff that things look a little crazy until we're officially done with everything. You know, if people knew what was kind of going on in their face half the time when I'm working on them, they'd be like, oh my gosh, until it's all said and done, you know, because sometimes the mapping looks crazy, the colors we're using look crazy. Sometimes, you know, when I'm doing like corrections, for instance, I had a lady that I was showing her I was going to use a green, and she was like, what, a green? And then I showed her, and I was like, oh, the green turns it brown, and she didn't understand because her brows were pink. And so again, sometimes you just don't want to tell them all that information, because, you know, you want to give them just the bare bones basics, because again, it can make things more difficult for you. But just know that it gets better. It gets better, and not every single person is going to be difficult. Not every single person is going to make your day horrible. And just know, you know, it happened to both of you. You both went through a moment, and like I said, I think if you just look at it as, okay, this is a learning experience, you will learn a lot from this, and you'll grow from this. As long as you can grow from it and don't wallow in it and stay in it and stay in that because I know what it's like to want to stay in bed for a week because you messed something up, and you don't want to, you know, it's like when you get scolded by a parent or something. But don't do that. You know, you have to kind of get back up, take a deep breath, put the big boy britches back on, and roll with it. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. Again, if you're a new subscriber, thank you so much. If you are, if you have friends that you want to share this with, please do. If you're in the cosmetic tattoo world, PMU, scalp, areola restoration, cancer survivors, doing all the good things for people. Keep on doing what you're doing. Keep it up. Keep up all the good work. Please tell your friends to watch this. If you've been dealing with things yourself, maybe this will help them, because again, we all deal with stuff. And then just keep sharing and keep liking all my stuff. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you at the next video. Again, these videos come out every single Monday, and I look forward to sharing all my life with you guys. So there we go. All right, guys. Again, my name is Texas Delores. So have a wonderful day. And again, happy holidays, everybody. We'll see you at the next video. Bye.